Tucker Carlson was actively pushing the hateful replacement conspiracy theory before he was ousted from Fox News. Now, tonight, we can tell you it's being amplified by Elon Musk. And this is at a time when serious people, including former President Obama, are warning about hate and disinformation and these other tech issues, as big tech companies are, and we'll show you how, coddling some extremists, softening their own rules that they'd used in prior elections. As for Elon Musk, well, he's under fire for stoking, specifically right now, anti-Semitism, amplifying and agreeing with something that someone had posted on Twitter, which asserted that Jewish people, as part of this conspiracy theory, are working in a cabal with hordes of minorities to come into the U.S. and have this Jewish minority alliance that will go after the rightful white people who should run America. That is a summary of the conspiracy theory. There's also the claim that Jewish people have a hatred in general against all white people. And this same user that Musk is embracing said there was a kind of implied agreement with the statement, quote, Hitler was right, unquote. That's how Axios summarizes this rather ugly incident from the richest, most powerful person in tech, if not the world. Now, Musk responded to all of that, quote, you have said the actual truth. Now, civil rights groups, Jewish leaders, and others are condemning this. The White House spoke up because it's a big enough issue when someone this powerful and important does this, hitting Musk for basically an abhorrent promotion of anti-Semitic and racist hate in the strongest terms. They condemn it, they say. Employees at X fielding calls from their advertisers, some of whom are bolting. Now, Musk is doing all of this amidst the wider context of Trump MAGA race baiting, mounting right-wing supremacist violence in America, which we're all familiar with, and related and important, this spike in anti-Semitic incidents and hate crimes. This is yet another toxic chapter since Musk took over Twitter. We've seen surging hate speech. They have their own business problems. He blatantly and repeatedly attacks free speech because Musk has proven to be an opponent of free speech and First Amendment principles. As for Obama, who I mentioned in the program tonight, he is warning about how all of this will affect your vote and the information that is circling around all of us as we go into 24, the presidential race. And he's saying this is a time to deal more forcefully online with the misinformation.
And the problem is right now, let's face it, it's gotten so caught up in partisanship, partly because of the last election, partly because of COVID and vax and anti-vax proponents, that we've lost sight of our ability to just come up with some principles that don't advantage one party or another or one position or another, but do reflect our broad adherence to democracy.
That is true, and he puts it quite precisely there. This is not a story about technology or whether you use Twitter or call it X like Elon wants you to or care about Elon Musk. This is actually a story about people and how do we deal with the world we share and the facts that we need to govern ourselves in a democracy and a time of rising hate, anti-immigrant, anti-black, anti-brown, and anti-Semitic sentiment. So we want to get into this with someone who knows some of these issues, including the raw politics of it, which is a big part of it. It's a special day here on The Beat, and we like to do it on a Friday. It's Che Day. You see him there. You see the cartoon. You see the man, the myth, the legend. You see the flags. You see the great American flag behind him, along with his alma maters. Che Komoduri, good to see you, sir.
Good to be here, Ari.
You worked on behalf of Barack Obama's campaigns. That should be, of course, noted. It's relevant. But what do you think about the way he put that? Not really on a political or partisan basis, but there's actually something more fundamental here. Where does that fit in to Elon Musk's hate, racism, and anti-Semitism?
Yeah, it reminds me of a saying from Marvel Comics. It's associated with Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. And I think what Barack Obama is saying there is that the enormous power that big tech has in our lives must come with some responsibility to be good stewards of a democratic society that is completely missing and absent from all our conversations about technology. We seem to be talking about stock prices and earnings and platforms and deplatforming, et cetera. No discussion really of the responsibility of those in charge of these platforms to use those responsibly to better cultivate a democratic society.
Yeah. We covered earlier this week how Facebook is walking away from what were already fairly mellow or basic standards about not lying about elections, for example, in ways that undermine the public trust. Now, as you know, and people around politics may know, if you put out directly fraudulent material about an election, for example, telling people to go to the wrong location, right, or the wrong day to vote, you can go to jail for that, because your free speech rights do not include fraudulently interfering with an election. Makes sense. At a more basic level, Che, if you keep trying to run ads anywhere on TV or Facebook to sell fake Rolex watches, before you even get into the law and crime, they just won't run the ads because the TV company and the internet company doesn't want to be on the hook for that. Look at this headline, though, where Facebook is backing off Meta as the parent company. What used to be something that they wouldn't push. Rigged election claims were not allowed. Now they're saying Trump and others can go on there and continue to sow that kind of confusion, lying about an election that was not rigged in 2020. What do we do with that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that whole conversation seems to be about is how much money Meta needs to make, or how much money Meta will make if they push this disinformation. There is no discussion of the responsibility that Meta has as a corporation, as the number one news source in America, which is Facebook, to push out accurate information to people on Facebook. There's a lot of discussion about the rights that people have, rights of free speech, et cetera. Those are extremely important. I don't want to undervalue them. But with those rights comes responsibilities. And people in charge of the media, in charge of Facebook, have a responsibility not just to make money, not just to their shareholders, but they have a responsibility, as we all have, to our democracy and to fair and free elections.
Yeah, and you put your finger on it because it's literally about ad money. This is an ongoing election. It's going to take over a year, and they want that Trump ad money, and they know what he wants to talk about. So they've totally contradicted themselves there, and I think it's important that the public knows about this, which is why we're covering it. The other big issue, of course, is what these artificial intelligence robots are going to get away with or be able to do. I know it's not always the most fun thing to talk about going to the weekend when people have enough problems, but we've continued to keep our eye on this, and the former president, made some interesting news there as well. Take a look.
I think the government, as an expression of our democracy, needs to be aware of what's going on. Those who are developing these frontier systems need to be transparent. I don't believe that we should try to put the genie back in the bottle and be anti-tech because of all the enormous potential. But I think we should put some guardrails around some risks that we can anticipate.
That's his summary. In all honesty, Che, I don't think either party has been out front on this, and both parties have tried to get tech money. They have these tech summits. They had an AI meeting with all the tech leaders. That's fine, but it's a bit like meeting with all the oil companies to talk about the environment. If you think, as some experts warn, that this is dangerous, should the Democratic Party, the one you're affiliated with, do more?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that there has been an element of the Democratic Party that has historically always been aligned with Silicon Valley, with people with money and interest in technology. We don't need to be anti-tech. I should be very clear about that. We need better tech. We need to be better users of tech. We need to be more responsible users ourselves of technology. As Barack Obama says, it's not about putting the genie back in the bottle. It's about now, once the genie is out of there, making sure that the genie serves the interests of a democratic society, not necessarily the interests of tech shareholders.